Hey, good morning, traders. How we doing? Got a couple days left before the holiday out here in States. How'd it go yesterday? You guys make any cheddar, or did you guys give up some cheese? I gave up some cheese. I I got into a interesting. Well, and this is the challenge with trading, right? Um, what you think and what is going to happen are two different things, and that's why we have to be consistent. Have to draw consistently. We have to not make stuff up. And I didn't make stuff up. I'm not saying I made anything up, but I kind of did in hindsight. You know, it's one of those things where you see something happen, and you're like, oh, I missed that trade because I wasn't, clear headed or whatever. And then you see something similar, and you take that trade, and you get it wrong. It's like the scenarios are entirely two different things, and you just kind of connected the dots because there was something that you saw that you thought was there, and it really wasn't. But so anyhow, I had watched the market like most of us are doing. Price had come off overnight. It shot up and started worming its way through. Opens right up around here somewhere, 630 something. Yeah, right there. And I'll just label this. Um, and price had come off the top, and I'm watching. I'm watching and I'm waiting to see if anything's going to happen. And I draw my impulse legs like I usually do. Draw an impulse leg like I usually do. And I draw my tops. And I just, I'm looking for, like I said, it's clay. I'm looking for a, my setup, right? The impulse leg, the shelf, the wash, the retest, and an entry. So as I'm drawing these down, I'm not seeing it as much as I'd like to see it. And do I want to make something up to? And I'm cautious about this because I do it. I did it yesterday. And so I'm aware of my of the things that trigger me. So I'm trying to get better, always trying to get better at like paying attention to that. So in this scenario, I'm trading if this is our swing, right? Or if this is our swing, right? Price didn't price leaves but pulls back to the bottom of the swing. Now you could argue that that's your wash, and that's where we're like gonna retest. But that doesn't really fly with everything else that there's really no shelf, there's none of this, and then you've got this stuff back here. So it's just kind of weird, right? It's just kind of weird. So I float through here in the morning. I think I posted something. About seeing a small trade in here somewhere. Maybe it was here, maybe it was somewhere else. But you see the box. We got the shelf here. Where's the shelf? Maybe in here. I don't know. It's hard. In hindsight, it's easier to see in hindsight. Let's put it that way. Then that's a shelf that's really low on the pivot or on the wash, and it still qualifies because it has all the characteristics, right? We have 1, 2 buyers. We have a nice little wash right here, and then we have a retest up here. We have a retest rate. It's really tough. It's really tough to call that one, but that one works if you got it. And maybe I didn't, but you can see how challenging it can be, right? Where do you draw to come up with your idea? Like where does that live? And the real thing is where can you afford to, if you're right there, that's an easy 3-to-1 trade. Down here, it's still a 3-to-1 trade. But if you're down here, you're just you're looking at a much different trade. You're still it all works, I guess is what I'm saying. use your stop to help you if you're confused and say, well, I can afford this, I can't afford that. And then you'll be on your way to, having more of a understanding about yourself. Because really that's kind of what this is understanding yourself. So then you have more stuff coming down, and like this isn't an impulse leg because it doesn't take out anything, but it does kind of impulse within the swing. So that's a different piece of context. I can see this piece here bolting up. That kind of gives me a little bit of a clue as to where the shelf might be. And if I'm not, I'm looking at this little guy right here, but this is more of a shelf, right? You have a sell right here. You have a seller right here. I'm just going to take this over here, steal it from that one. And then you have your impulse or your wash to come up and clean it out. You have like a double wash, right? And then it comes down and it takes out the low, which now we're in business. And then you have a nice entry right here on the backside. I didn't see this. I didn't see this at all. I was not paying attention and thinking more about this swing here. I wasn't looking out. I wasn't thinking about the swing inside the swing. It just wasn't on my radar. And that comes back to the point of trading what knowing what swing you're trading. If you see this in here, then that's for you to take. That's your own. You can take that experience into the next trade. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why it happened. I just didn't catch it. So then we have another impulse leg. Comes down into here. We have some more chatter on the backside of this swing. Sellers lining up, and it fades. Impulse leg down, and boom, boom. So we have a nice little, look at that right there. And then we have our wash, and then we have our it breaks our low. So everything here is in place. Impulse leg, a shelf, our wash, and our low, or step 3, or step 4, I should say. Our low has been broken or tested. Remember, it can take out the low and come back up. And it comes all the way up to our the back of our wash, the back of our stop. And remember what I say is give yourself a little bit of space. A little bit of space. Maybe you're up here because you want to be above that guy. Maybe you're, right in here somewhere. It worked, guys. That's a 3-to-1 trade right there. Now there's people that I know. My mentor, he buys them right here. He wants a bet. He wants the risk reward to be in his side, and I can understand that. And it's just a preference thing. I'm going to get more trades than he does, but his winning percentage is greater than mine. Where's it? 2 different points in our trading career, but we're both still profitable. As this comes up and takes out these guys, I looked at this, right? I looked at that as a possible kind of, entry based on this swing. I don't have hard, fast rules about a lot of this stuff because the shapes change and the flow changes, and so I kind of have to discern like what, like going back up to this other trade, like I just wasn't there. I was like, okay, this thing's doing its thing. Let's wait for another impulse leg, and it did all this work, and there was a trade to be had. And so you have to just get good at recognizing that, and that's why we go through this stuff. We got an hour and a half, 2 hours before the market opens before we're ready to go. So We're looking at, just that impulse leg, that shelf, that wash, and trying to put all that together. So now here's where I got fancy, and here's where I got in trouble, um, because I was watching these trades go by, and I saw a couple things, and I ignored a couple things. How about that? See, that one comes back here, and you can see the sellers hitting the backside of it, and you're getting a little reaction off of that. So what I was thinking, because I had drawn up a kill zone from this swing, and this gets me in trouble, boys and girls. I was like, okay, this is close enough. Somewhere in here, the business is close enough, and the guys it had a reaction, some sort of reaction. My line was down here. It wasn't up there. It was down here. So it hadn't come down, but I said, okay, well, maybe that's the way it's going to go. And then I looked at, um, this line and wasn't too excited about it, but I said maybe up here, for a pullback and then a drop down. We're playing a guessing game on some of this stuff, right? We don't know. Nobody knows where this stuff's going to turn. So I'm not trying to tell you this is real stuff. Real stuff in hindsight, I get it, but it's not like I knew this was going to happen. It just anyhow. And so I was, I convinced myself that I had more room to run in the trade. And that's all I was trying to figure out. I wasn't trying to get fancy with anything. I was just like, does this thing have the opportunity to go? And I said, yeah, it does. So here's what I did. I took this impulse leg here. I drew up a little shelf in here. Right on top of that, see that bar that comes down there, hard down? And I'm just going to steal some of this stuff. Stealing from yourself isn't stealing. So I have an opportunity that one works, right? That one works. I'm gonna see if I documented it here. Let me see if I can get my exact. Oh, okay. Stop. Let's go back. I sold. That bar. All right. I tried to look at that. I tried to just ignore the whole thing. This is what I did. We have an impulse leg down. I see this kind of weird double top, double shelf, or double wash type of thing, and so I said, well, and then going back to what I had said earlier about this not hitting the bottom down here, and the market's going down. I laid some, I laid that. That was my trade idea from that, right into there. Not a bad idea. I don't think it's terrible. I've got everything in place for it. The market just wasn't going that direction. So I gave up a little bit there. Okay, so that was my first one that I got popped on. And and so yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. When I get these and I lose, it kind of like, ugh, right, what did I do wrong, and I hit the brakes, and I don't get as flustered as I used to, but I definitely don't like it. I mean, I'm like you guys, right? I've just done more of these, and I've come to a conclusion about a couple things, and just, I know my win rate's 30 to 40%. All right, and I'm not bragging about that. I'm just being realistic. So anyhow, getting back to the next idea that I had, and I'm not really sure so this is what I have drawn up. I have this here. this here. I did this. I did that. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. I didn't. I drew that up. But I can tell you what my second stop was. I can tell you what my second stop was. I had done, yeah, I even document this stuff and I get confused. Well, so what I had done is I pulled this up here and then I bought, right, impulse. We have our wash. We're tested here. We're tested, well, and that kind of, where's our start of our pressure cooker? It hits it here and pulls down. It gives you a nice little 3-to-1. I'm more like that. I'm more like that. I didn't take that trade. That comes out. I see, guys. I'm already confused about my work. I took a trade in here, and I'm trying to remember what it was. But anyhow, I got cleaned out on this bar. I got cleaned out on that bar, or whatever it is here. This guy here popped me out. I did a trade in here, and then I'm still, hanging out. I'm not completely out of the game, but I'm I forgot. Anyhow, sorry, I'm just trying to remember a couple things. Anyhow, all right, forget it. Let's move on to the next one. So I took another one to kind of clean up my mess, and then I got emotional about the trade, and I did some things that I don't really advise. So I see this here. I've got my impulse here. I've got a beautiful shelf across there. Beautiful. And so there's two things here, guys. One is that when you make a mistake and you follow these steps, you can easily step back and say, okay, what did I get wrong? Did I get the impulse leg wrong, the shelf wrong, the wash wrong? Was I making up something along the way? And you can reset yourself very easily and come back at this in a different time frame, in a different space, and not be so and be confident that you're in the right space. And so I ended up buying this here, and then it started to take off and gets up to here, and I'm feeling pretty good about this trade. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna um, yeah, I hate to say it, make back my losses, but that's in the back of my mind. I mean, we're being truthful here. I'm not trying to make up for my losses, but I'm trying to just put on another good trade. Give me a 3-to-1 trade, right? That's what I'm after, and the numbers will work out. But I think about it, and that's what made me decide to get out right here, because it was just choppy, and you can feel that it's not like this they're just in a hurry to go. But they were up, they're down, they're up, they're down. I'm like, Jesus, come on, any day now. And then finally it starts to go, and I'm like 1240, and I'm right there. I close my hand. It wasn't a big trade. It wasn't a lot of. I mean, it was
Connection.
it was a fraction of a trade. It wasn't even mentionable. I mean, whatever. But look, it worked out. Had I just held on to my position, my idea, it would have worked out. Now it would have been overnight. It would have been, something I'm really not into. But um, a couple things. One, I'm trading outside of my usual hours. However, I had the opportunity to be in front of the computer all day, and I didn't have to be somewhere to do something. I had to. I was, and today's the same thing before the holiday, and so I was a little more tuned in, a little more, which maybe caused me to think that I could be, a little better at this. And so anyhow, that's the stuff that comes through my head. And if you missed this and it came down here, it gave you another shot at it. And this is a learning lesson for me. It's like, what do I have to lose at this point? Right. Well, I mean, other than money, but like, this thing isn't now. Once we know that this is now, I can see that this was going to come back and it finally hit this point here. Right. So I wasn't wrong about my idea, but um, you forget about things change, and guys, this is why we use a stop, because we don't know what's going to happen. Nobody knows what's going to happen. There's like five guys that probably know. They have the book and they send it back and forth and they say, okay, you're doing this and this. I have no idea what those guys do, but my point is that we don't know, and so we have to protect ourselves and we have to use our setups to take advantage of the fluctuations in the market. So anyhow, price does come back down here. It would have paid me out, which is fine, but overnight, and I'm a day trader, so I don't do that. And uh, you know, um, it was easy to get confused in this sideways action. After I got stopped out in here, I think I took this trade in here, and I got stopped right there, and then I got washed out, and then I realized that the shelf was there. And then I see the test and I'm like, okay, good. It's like once you're wiped out there, you sit back. I mean, I got wiped out at 11:20 and then I got back in at 12 o'clock. So it took, 40 minutes, had a little lunch, just kind of like, you know, losing two times in one day is tough for me because I don't usually do it, but it happens. I mean, I've lost more than that. And so I'm not going to pretend that I'm, just making crazy money over here because I'm so good. That's not true. But I know this is the stuff that you guys go through. I know the feelings. I know the experiences. The way you see those bars hit. Like when I saw that bar print, I was just like, God dang it. It was just. But then I realized it just was working itself out, and then I got back in over here. And then I made it work. It was okay. I read everything else right. The only thing that I changed up here is that, I ran out of time and I didn't want to go for the ride for this whole thing. So, you know, I'm not mad at myself, but it's just, there was a couple of impulsive things in there that I did. And this is great. We learned about this swing inside of this swing. What swing are you trading? Oh, I'm trading this swing. Okay, well, what's going on here? Oh, well, it's an impulse like took this out, pulled back and made a beautiful wash, and then it played the whole thing. That was the best trade on the table right there, guys. You're in at 8:30. Take the full stop. You're done with 9:18, less than an hour. Whatever your hourly rate is, whatever your numbers are, whatever it is, that was the trade right there. So anyhow, what's going to happen today? I don't know. I have no idea. I'm going to clear all my chart. I'm going to sit back and I'm going to say, okay, what's going on? Let's take a look at the news real quick and see what the news. Remember, Thanksgiving's in 2 days, so I imagine like we're leaving for vacation today. Other people are going to be headed out, so the volume's going to be down. We have some consumer information coming out at 7, so that's not going to bother us. There's some minutes. Someone's going to talk from the Fed at noon or 11. So maybe today if you're thinking about trading, you're going to look at like, between 7 and 10:30 or 7 and 10. You guys are getting better at this, so you guys can find those little trades that get you in and out before, trouble. Wednesday is more consumer price index. Thursday is a holiday, and Friday, I don't know if the market's open on Friday. I don't care. I'm not trading, so I don't, but it's just, take a look at it and know where you're at. I know everybody else is on a different clock and doing different things. So, and then the last two pieces of information are the monthly, right? There's a sign up at Patreon, Make Money Day Trading for fresh daily updates. This information comes to us. I'm doing this at 5:15 right now. I'm going to put it out in about 15 minutes, and so members get a little bit more information ahead of the market, and just more of a reminder of things that that we need to do to stay on top of the market as we're making our way, and taking time to map things out, and talking about the emotions you're going to have, and just centering yourself so that you're going to have a successful trading day, whether you lost or you win. Because if you lose, you got to take something out of it. What I learned yesterday is that there's a swing inside a swing. So don't get so hyper focused on one piece of information, because it changes how you see other things. And so on the monthly, we still have a nice impulse up, right? And if we're going to do it, guys, listen, I'm not, above trading the monthly. If this thing gives me what I want, I'll sit back and not trade for 3 or 4 days as price works out, because it happens on the whole thing, on every time frame. And it looks like there's a wash right here, right? Right. And then we have our pressure cooker up here at the top, and it looks like price hit the pressure cooker and then it bounced off. And now it's working its way back up. Interesting, huh? So we could see, now let's just play the game of, oh, wait. Is that the shelf? That might be the shelf. Look at that. You have a seller there, or a buyer. You have a buyer, you have a buyer, you have a wash, and then you have a buyer, and you have a buyer. The problem with this is my stop. There's no way I'm taking that chunk. That's just ridiculous. Even the next smallest one is more than I can spend. So that's my problem with this whole thing. But just remember the flow is the same, right? Price expands, it contracts, it does a couple things, and then it expands again. That's what you're after, is understanding that process, and that's why we use this like it's clay. So today we have um, uh, impulse leg, right? That's what I see right there. I see a little shelf. Right? And then we have what looks like a wash right here. I'm not going to include that. I'm going to take this right here, because that's the wash that I see. This thing comes up here. Anyhow, so maybe we have it. And again, guys, like I don't know what kind of capital you have, but that's too big. You don't want that stop. But you can play this now. If this thing starts to come down, I'll use this one here. This thing comes down here, gives you a little action like that. You know what to do, guys. Those are all impulse legs. Impulse leg, impulse leg, impulse leg, impulse leg. Just follow it down. And then you can, and don't get yourself too confused like I was doing the other day, but you can play with this, and you can use it as you don't have to be, I'm not a counter trend trader, as they say. I'm just following the impulse leg, right? That's all I'm trying to do, is follow the impulse leg, because that's the swing I'm trading. Now, there's a lot to be said about that. You could have the wrong impulse leg and all that stuff, but that's a different story. But look at that. There's an impulse leg right there, right? And I see the wash right here. I don't see a whole really nice shelf, but that's a shelf. And this one doesn't come all the way down, but still understand that you can see that this quick. You don't have to worry about all that other stuff of what's going on here, what's going on there. Look, there's an impulse leg right there, right? Took out this guy. Impulse is down. Anyhow, I'm rambling on. We're about a half an hour, and I don't think anybody's at this point. But look for those impulse legs, and just remember the news is coming out today and tomorrow. All right, see you.